I see my name in shining lights. Yeah, a different city every night. Oh, I swear the world better prepare for when I'm a billionaire.
It's time to get down to business on the weekend's #1 business program. Known as the King of Networking, your host, Shalom Klein, has worked with thousands of entrepreneurs and created countless jobs. So, to success. Let's get down to business.
And indeed, we're all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship and business. We talk a lot about business here. You're on with Get Down to Business. And I'm your host, Shalom Klein. Remember, you can always download podcasts from Get Down to Business on my website at shalomklein.com. And while you're there, don't forget to follow me on Twitter at Shalom Klein. It's going to be a jam-packed week of content and information you will not want to miss. Let's jump right in with Jim Saliba, who's a certified coach, trainer, and public speaker with a bachelor's, MBA, and over 30 years of experience in the leadership world. I know Jim's career began as a software engineer before being promoted to management in the IT industry, where he eventually became VP of a $4 billion tech company. Jim Saliba, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for having me.
It's an honor to have you. So I am curious, how did you get started in your leadership career? A very impressive bio. Where did that begin?
Well, as you said, I started out as a software engineer. At one point in my career, there was a big change within the organization, and I became a manager. And not just a manager of one group, I was a manager with 3 managers under me, with each of them having 10-ish people under them. So it was a jump into the deep end of the pool. I wanted to do it right, so I started doing a lot of reading, going to classes. And there was one book I read from Brian Tracy who said to invest 3% of your salary in yourself. And I started doing that, and it really helped me build my career and do a lot of learning. From there, I became a VP, as I told you, as you said.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's inspiring. And certainly there's a lot of lessons about leadership right there. But I want to dive into, as we are now in mid Q1 of 2023, I want to talk about leadership. I want to talk about the reasons leaders fail to make an impact, because I know you're really proud of helping and coaching others to lead and to make that impact. What are the most common reasons leaders fail?
The biggest reason that I see is many people get promoted within organizations for their technical expertise and not for their leadership. And we're not really training them and giving them the opportunity to learn how to lead. So what happens a lot, they come in as a leader with the attitude of, I'm the smartest person in the room. I got here because I do it right. So you should do it my way. And if you want to do things right, you have to do it yourself. The problem is that really limits you with the people who will follow you and how to scale.
That's for sure. And, Jim, what I've been discovering is that the one constant is change. Over these past few years, there have been just a continuously evolving dynamic. Certainly, you've developed your career in the IT space. Oh my gosh, look at how much that's changed. But look at COVID and how people are working. So when we talk about leadership, how can leaders continue to lead when the landscape has constantly shifted?
Well, when we talk about leaders, we often talk about the top skill sets that they need, and they talk about communication and being able to do this and that. But I think the 2 things that are really on top is self-awareness and self-development, because of what you said. The environment is always changing. So you need to be aware of what's going on and being able to go out there and change yourself. And so this intersection between business and technology that all of us are actually in is very interesting to me, but you need that awareness and self-development to really push it forward.
Interesting. And so, Jim, what was that aha moment for you when you discovered not only perhaps were you a leader, but you were also developing other leaders? Where did that happen, and what are some of the advice that you can share?
At one point in my career, I had people working for me. I built one-on-ones that I had every week with them, and I had said in there, "This is your meeting. You do the agenda, but at least once a month we have to talk about personal development." Years went by, and I ended up moving from one group to another within this $4 billion company I was in, and I was telling my people goodbye because I'm going to another group. And one person said to me, "Well, I love that. I'm happy that you're doing this. I'll follow you anywhere if you need anything. And can we still have that once a month conversation for my self-development?" That was the moment I said, I am now a leader that people will follow.
Inspiring indeed. Again, I'm chatting with Jim Saliba, a certified coach, trainer, and public speaker with a bachelor's, master's, and over 30 years of experience in the leadership world. He's worked tirelessly to gain the knowledge and experience to become a leader employees wanted to follow. And that's exactly what we've been talking about over here. So, Jim, I've been thinking a lot about, in preparation for this conversation, about transparency, because you talk a lot about sort of being a leader that people will follow, but how can you also be authentic? Because the reality is that you, like all of us leaders, have bad days. And sometimes there are those days that you're just not on your A game. What's that fine balance? And I know you talk a lot about executive presence. Where does that tie in?
Well, executive presence is really one of the things. I have this 4-quadrant module that I talk to leaders about when they're trying to upgrade themselves. Vision and strategy, learning through execution, people, process, systems, and then executive presence. Transparency, authenticism is one of the things I talk about in that executive presence. And you're right. I don't always have my A game. Nobody does. But being truthful and open to people, they know when I'm not on my A game. And I've been told, "Jim, what's going on? You're not on your A game today." And because I surround myself and I build a team that are not just like me, that are opposite of me, that are smarter than me, I have a team that surrounds me and builds me and allows me to be that authentic and off days, because they have off days and I have their back when they do too.
I want to bring you one more angle into our conversation, Jim. You're talking about transparency, and I love that explanation about just that authenticity, which is really, really important. You talk a lot about metrics and using that metrics to share sort of that vision and make sure you're developing what I always call that common operating picture and so on. But what is the right balance of sharing the data with your team when you're leading, and how much is too much?
I'm transparent about all of it. I give all the metrics that I follow. I have metrics not only about the business, but how we are performing as a team so we can talk about it. And it's really not talking about the people and names, it's about problems we want to solve. So I'm open about all the metrics.
Well, that's inspiring, and that's indeed, I'm sure, how you have again through the trenches been able to develop leaders at all levels and size organizations. Again, I'm chatting with Jim Saliba, certified coach, trainer, and public speaker. Quite inspiring, and I know I've taken a lot of notes in this conversation. I know our listeners are surely nodding vigorously throughout this conversation and want to get in touch with you. How can we do that, Jim?
Well, I have a website, jamessaliba.com. You can get to me there. I'm on LinkedIn and Twitter. You can follow me there, and I look at those every day. So if you leave me a message, I'll get back to you. I have a blog that goes out every Tuesday about different various leadership topics. You can comment there and give me any suggestions on what you would like to have me blog about.
Well, that's great because that's indeed who you are, an authentic leader. And that's great. I'm excited to subscribe myself in the conversation. Again, jamessaliba.com. Jim, appreciate you sharing your growth mindset, your leadership philosophy And I can't wait to have you back on real soon. But you can always download all of our conversations, including with the one and only Jim Saliba over here, on my website, shalomklein.com. Also, be sure to check out our sponsors, Tom Mirabali from healthplanchicago.com. You can also give him a call, 630-863-3477, 630-863-3477 for a free consultation as it relates to affordable care and or health insurance coverage in 2023. But be sure to get on your favorite podcast app and subscribe, rate, review, and share, because indeed that's the easiest way for you to not miss a single episode and be alerted when a new show drops on the pod. But again, a quick break here on the show all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Jim Saliba, thank you so much for joining us. We're going to be joined in just a few minutes as we continue our conversations all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. So don't touch that dial. We'll be right back.